Alright, hello. Welcome to another Art Student Diary with me, Peter Jackson Anton. Now, as I always like to say, these are my videos where I document my art journey so that I can look back in 10 years and be like, oh, what was I thinking when I was a student? What was my process like? I just want to have some sort of record of what it was like to be a student and how I was growing and evolving. So this is my documentation of my journey from student to pro. So I guess I've got my sketch pages here, and I'm just going to go through them and talk about what I need to work on, what's working and what's not working. So recently, this morning, I finished my 100 Mammal challenge. So what I did was I committed to doing just sketches of 100 different mammals. Not that, and this is just what I liked about this challenge is it's just a way for me to go like, I'm going to do this thing and do 100 of them. And it's not like I reward myself in any special way at the end of it. It's just, I like having it as a stand. It's like an accomplishment for me. Like rather than just endlessly drawing, it's nice to have a little checkpoints along the way to measure my progress of being like having something you're aiming for. Generally, I like to have my goals be process goals, which means I'm drawing for a certain amount of time each day. But then also, within that, I like to have a production goal of like, okay, what if I just focus on doing 100 mammals, right? Because what that does is it sets me up with a goal of doing 100. And so, all of a sudden, I don't have to focus on each one of them. Like, oh, this drawing isn't perfect. Well, it doesn't matter because I'm doing 100 of them. So we're focusing on quantity and not quality. Because the quality will come, because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm going to naturally, the quality's going to come, just because that's who I am. So if I do the quantity, if I do the work, and I'm dedicated and in the moment and focused on making a good product, which I naturally do, then that quality will come as a result of just putting the time in and the work in. So that's the theory anyway. So 100, and it's important to me that it's mammals and not just animals, because animals you can get to, it's harder to, well, for me, I like having some restraints. If I just said draw 100 of anything, that's too broad for me. I like just having that category of mammals. And so I finished that, and then my next challenge is just I'm going to do 100 cats. So I'm going from that general to the specific, and now I'm going to do cats. So mammals, I was doing grazers, carnivores, aquatic mammals, bats, things that fly, in all these different mammals. And so that's good. But now, as I do that like overview, it's kind of like taking a survey class where you just get a little bit of everything. It's like a buffet. So you go to the buffet and you're like, okay, let me take a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then you eat it and you're like, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't like this, and then you go back to the buffet and you get more of the stuff you like. So I really liked working on cats, and I felt like there's a lot of room for me to improve with cats, and there's enough variety in cats for me to do a whole other 100 drawings just with cats. And that cats is great because there's enough variety that it won't get boring like it would if I were just doing slugs. Like slugs is probably too specific. You get real bored drawing slugs pretty fast unless you're just really obsessed with slugs. But within cats, you have the leopards, cheetahs, black panthers, which are leopards with a melanin, with something's up with their melanin or something. It's black panthers aren't really a real thing, if I remember correctly. They're leopards, but they have some sort of something wrong with their melanin production or something, maybe like excessive melanin or something, and so they end up being black, so we call them black panthers. But panthera is just it's like the subclass of things that a lot of cats belong to. But anyway, I don't think black panthers are a real thing. They are a real thing, but they're not really like separate. They're just leopards with different skin. But anyway, tigers, mountain lions, things like that, house cats, all these different ocelots, lynxes. There's a whole bunch of different types of cats that I can study. So anyway, a long way of saying I'm doing cats next, and that's what I'm going to be studying. But let me go through I'll go through my first page of cats, and I also have my my last pages of mammals. So these are my last pages of mammals. This is the second to last. There's a giraffe, and an okapi, or okapi, some rhinos. I did the rhino a few times, 3 times, because I was having trouble getting the proportions right. I kept making it too short and making its body too short. Their bodies are actually surprisingly long. And then the other thing that's tricky about the rhinos is that nuchal, I think it's the nuchal. Wait, I actually made a note of it, didn't I? Yeah, the nuchal crest, which is that hump on the back of their neck, which is all this like muscle and ligament that's to support that heavy head. If you've ever seen people cutting off the horns of rhinos, which sounds bad, but it's actually good, because the reason did I say lions? The reason rhinos get killed is because people are hunting them for their horns. So what they'll do, the people who are protecting the rhinos will chainsaw off the horns, and then the rhinos don't get killed because they don't have horns for the poachers to take. So it actually ends up protecting the rhinos. But anyway, yeah, they have really big heads. If you've ever seen people do that, like the heads are like giant, like way bigger than you'd think. If you ever see people right next to the heads, those heads are gigantic. So you need that nuchal crest. And same thing as the buffalo. Buffaloes have this huge nuchal crest. And then there's a little tapir at the bottom here. It's good. I like drawing things I don't normally draw, like in that I don't even really think about all that much. Animals, like these guys, these more tapirs, I think. This is like a type of tapir, I think, right here. And then just things I don't normally draw, just to get used to drawing things so I don't rely on some sort of formula. Gets me out of my comfort zone. So we got some, it's not going to focus properly on these, but you can see these little cows that I'm doing. I did a really bad cow from imagination, and then I was like, okay, I need to study cows and see what cows look like, because my cow actually looked more like a cat. It's really bad. I'll show you guys. Hold on. It's so bad. It doesn't look like a cow at all. So, wait, let me show this. Okay. So we have like the horse, right? The horse is pretty good. These are from imagination. So the horse kind of looks like a horse, right? The cat kind of looks like a cat. The head's a little effed up. But the body of the cat looks like a cat, more or less. The dog looks like a dog. But then, look at my cow. That is not a cow. It's like, because I've been drawing so many cats, I think, that I just kind of, I was doing the, like this. Definitely not a cow. I mean, if you cover up the, everything's reversed in the, if you cover up the, I mean, the back end is kind of like a cow, right? But then the front arm isn't really like a hoof. It's more like a paw. I think that tail might be too long and too cat-like. And then and the head is just totally, that is not a cow. And then I tried to do it again and again and again, and I was like, how do cows go? So then I had to do some studies of cows, because I'm like, okay, this is not okay with me, that my cows look like cats. Not okay. So then I did these cows, and they're getting better. And that just kind of cleansed my brain. I was like, okay, it's kind of like a wedge shape for a head. And then, like, obviously they're not great, but they're much better than what and they're not terrible, but like the horns are too small on this guy. They're not as good as some of my other animals, but that's just because I haven't done that many cows compared to how many other animals I've done. So, and then that finished up with the mammals. So I was thinking what I wanted to do next, and I was thinking reptiles, but then I was like, nah, I want to do cats. I want to really get good at one thing. So this is me practicing the cats, and they're not. I mean, this was a really difficult expression, because this cat was like, and that was difficult. So I was just working. You can see I tried it like 4 different times, just trying to get that expression right on the cat. And then I did a study of the cat skull to see what was going on there, right here. So you can see, like, if you get a pose wrong, like if you get a drawing wrong, don't be afraid to just redo it. Right, so over here, yeah. So that was the final one, and even still, I didn't get the face perfect, but is better than the first ones and the middle one. So I think I definitely got better at it. Yeah, and see, I do iterations. So I'll do this one, and then I'm like, okay, well, the eyes are a little too high, so then I'll redo the same one, and I'll end up with a little bit better. So don't be afraid to redo stuff if you don't like the way it looks. And these are definitely better. than how I started. So I'm excited to see how this 100 cat journey goes, because I'm just going to learn so much about cats. And I'm looking forward to doing some skeletal studies where I look at the skeleton of the cat, especially the skull. I might even buy a skull if I can find a good one for $20 or $30. That'd be something good to own. I already have this dog skull. You can see it, right? Everything's reversed in this camera. It's very confusing. Okay, so if you look right above my thumb, that's the dog skull, right above the books. Yeah, here we go, right there. Those are my skulls. Those are my skulls here, and that's not a skull. That's a cast of a face of a human head. That's my mannequin. Those are high school. That's a preschool drawing right there. Right here is a high school drawing with these birds with skulls on, and here's a picture with dogs that are like in the mafia. So there's like mafia dogs, I guess, and that's a penguin from preschool. So I guess I've always been drawing animals, but yeah, I guess I want to ramble a little bit and talk about where I am mentally. Life is good. I'm reading this book called Awaken the Giant Within. I've read it before, but I'm rereading it. It's by Tony Robbins. It was one of the first books that really helped me transform. Sorry, my bed is a little bit helter-skelter. It's got a little bump in it, so I just want to make it smooth because it's going to bother me. Yeah, Tony Robbins is a really good book for just if you have never done any personal work on yourself and your mind, getting your mindset right. So it's just the chapter I'm on now is asking better questions. So instead of asking questions like, instead of asking questions like, why me, or how come I'm so depressed? Why doesn't anybody like me? Those questions just are doomed to make you sad. But if you ask questions like, how did I get so lucky? Or, what's really great in my life right now? What are some of my most treasured memories? Or how can I turn this problem into a good thing? Why is this problem great? What am I willing to do? Right, so just asking better questions in my life. So instead of asking, why am I so bad at drawing, I would ask, how can I enjoy drawing more? How can I fall more in love with drawing? How did I get so lucky as to have the time to draw, right? The time and resources to draw. Or you could ask, how can I make the most of my time drawing today? Things like that actually empower you. So one thing I wrote down when I was drawing and this thought occurred to me that a car doesn't run on coal. And what that meant to me was that if you're an artist, you're not going to run on the same things that a lot of people run on. You might not be as career focused as a lot of people. Like a lot of people might be obsessed with like getting into a corporation and climbing the corporate ladder and becoming climbing the ranks and having that prestige of being like the president, the vice president, or whatever. I don't know. That's not my world. But making more money, and as artists we want to make money, but it's not the biggest motivation for us. I think a lot of artists, true artists, sorry, it's a little elitist, but a lot of artists who really care about creating, we want enough money to not have to worry about money so that we can create. Because if we have a bunch of money but we're not creating anything, we're just going to be depressed. And I think most of us know that if we're in touch with our artists and our artist self and we haven't buried it under a bunch of emotional baggage, I guess. If we're in touch with our artist selves, then we know that all the money in the world doesn't mean much if we're not creating anything, because we're just going to be depressed and life will be meaningless. Now, money is, of course, important, especially for a sense of security, having shelter over your head, having food and transportation, and not having a bunch of debt hanging over your head, and not having to worry about obviously you care about your health, but not having to worry about going bankrupt if something goes wrong with your health is a big deal. So money's great for that. Being able to go to the dentist, money's great for that. But beyond taking care of those necessities, as far as splurging on, dreaming of a giant house and a boat and things like that, once we have our basic needs taken care of, so that we're not stressed out of our minds, because that stress is going to interfere with our creativity. So I think basically the goal is to make enough money to not have to worry about those basic needs, so you don't have to worry about that. I think that's but as far as in excess of money, I don't think that's what most artists truly care about deeply. It's mostly about the creativity and the expression, and that's what gives life most of meaning. Most of its meaning, at least from my perspective, and I assume that's true of at least a few other people. I think that's pretty common among artists, is that we don't value money nearly as much as creative expression. I think it's part of what makes us artists, because if we cared about money, we wouldn't be artists. We'd do something like more profitable. But that whole thing about cars don't run on coal. Well, if you put coal in your car, if you open up your gas tank and put coal in it, it's not going to work. And in the same way, if you open up your artist fuel tank and you put in the wrong stuff, you're not going to run properly. So if you're an artist and you're interested in animals, like me, at my deepest level, I've always been fascinated by animals. So if I were to try to go into mechs, MECHS. Someone thought I was saying mechs the other day when I was describing an anime. They thought I was saying mechs as in Mexican. And I was like, mechs, mechanical or mechanics or mechanical devices is what I mean. So like robots or, vehicles, vehicle design. If I were to try to do that, that would be like putting coal into my fuel tank. I'm going to run a lot better and go a lot further if I put the right type of gas in my engine. And for me, the type of gas in my engine that makes me go further is animals. When I'm drawing animals, I'm a lot more inclined to study them just naturally without having to force it. If I were to change specializations and go to robots, well, I'd have to force myself to study because I'm not naturally interested in robots. So I think what you specialize in is the stuff you're already specialized in, right? The stuff that you already care about. If you're really interested in people and personalities, and you love watching shows, and you love the costumes, and you love talking to people and learning about people, then maybe be a character designer or be a portrait artist. But if you're like me and I like people, I care about people, I'm not interested in people. I'm way more interested in animals than people. If I'm at a party, I'm going to be way more interested in petting the dog than talking to people. It's I'll be pleasant with people. I don't hate people. I'm not interested in people as artistic subjects. It's I don't care about fashion. I don't care about personalities. I just don't care that much. I care way more about learning about animals and animal anatomy and how animals move and how animals interact with their environment. That's what lights me up, right? So it doesn't make sense for me to be a character designer if I'm not interested in people. In the same way, you should not be an animal artist if you don't love animals, real animals, right? So just specialize in what you already love, and then you're going to be training all the time. I mean, you're already used to observing. If you love people, you're already in the habit of people watching. You're already in the habit of talking to people and learning about their backgrounds and learning about different cultures. You're already interested in that. So your downtime will probably be spent learning about different cultures and learning about people and reading about biographies, and you're probably already doing the research that you need to do as an artist. And if you can just combine your natural interests with your artist or your technical training as an artist, it's gonna just be like entering a slipstream. Whereas if if I'm interested in people but I want to draw animals because I think that's where the jobs are, right? Then it's gonna be like it's clang clang clang, right? It's not gonna fit together. You're not gonna enter that slipstream. In fact, the wind's gonna be going this way and you're gonna be going this way, and you're gonna be fighting against each other. So look for that slipstream. Look for it would be so easy for me it would be so much more effortless for me to make art if I just forgot about drawing this and just focused on drawing this that I actually love, right? For me, it's like, oh, you mean I never have to draw a robot and I can just focus on animals? Oh, so let me go, instead of running headlong into this boulder of robots, why don't I just specialize in animals? Which A, it's easier, B, it's faster. I'm going to get better faster because I actually want to do it and I know more about them, and I can specialize and put more time into it rather than putting time into something that I'm not very good at and I don't intend to make money on. I never want someone to pay me to draw a robot, but I do want people to pay me for drawing animals. So if I put my time into drawing animals, I'm going to be taking all the time I would be putting into drawing stuff I don't want to draw and putting into stuff I do want to draw. And ironically, I'll just be getting better at drawing so that if I ever do want to do mechs, I'll be better at drawing mechs because I know how to draw at a high level, right? So you'll be drawing more, you'll be having more fun doing it, it'll be more effortless. So think about what you naturally like doing. If you really like plants and you love trees and you love flowers, then, be like a plant artist or a botany artist. I don't know what you call it. Do that. Focus on that. Don't even bother with drawing animals, or maybe draw some butterflies just so you can put them with your plants, or some bees or something like that if you want to, but you don't even need to do that. Just draw plants. If you do plants exceptionally well and that's your thing and you do the best plants, just pick what you love and just be really good at it. Be the best at it, right? Get really good at it technically, and there will be work for you. Of course there will. If you're the best at something, especially if you're the best at something and you combine it with something else that's weird, like if you you have a habit stack, so you have 3 things that are kind of, you're not maybe the best at, but they're unique. Like if you really like plants and you really like hockey and you really like and you're a pyromaniac and you like setting things on fire, so you combine hockey and fire and plants. And I don't know what that looks like, but you're going to be the only one doing it. Who else is drawing, hockey, plant, fire, right? Only you. So, that makes you unique, is having that unique habit stack. But you also can't rely on just being unique. You also have to have those technical skills and really have good control of the fundamentals. So just for me, it's like I really like animals, and I really like martial arts, and I really like, I don't know what else. There's probably something I'm not thinking of, like, singing and dancing and, just being, just like kind of a quirky personality, but, and just thinking of things in a different way. I don't know what my third one is. Maybe I'm working on it. Oh, I also like food. I like drawing food, right? So those would be my 3 things, like food, food, martial arts, animals. So maybe I draw like food, animals, doing martial arts. What does it look like? I don't know. But is anyone else doing it? I don't think so. Right? Maybe like fighting foodons does. That's the only thing I can think of. But it's going to be unique, right? Or it's at least going to be rare. So I don't know. Those are pretty much my thoughts for today. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about art right now. Lots to work on. My technical abilities need work. My anatomy knowledge needs work. My skeletons need work. My muscles need work. My rendering needs work. But I just take it one step at a time, just one little piece at a time. So glad I have a mentor to critique my work and keep me going forward. Going to be starting a new zebra painting soon, and doing these 100 cats, so that's what's on the docket going forward. But that's pretty much it. So as always, let's take a deep breath. And let's go draw.